March is the busiest time of year for me when it comes to starting plants. The last frosts are only a couple of months away, so now is the perfect time to be preparing the garden and sowing some seeds. You can start almost anything right now, but there's only so much time in the day. So in this video, I'm going to show you my top seeds to sow in March. This month is the ideal time to be sowing Swiss chard. Now, I love chard and I think it's worth growing for the ornamental value alone. And if you pick a variety like Bright Lights, they'll grow into enormous plants with brightly coloured stems. The stems also have an earthy taste and they're great for bulking out stews and adding a dash of colour to any dish. The leaves are a great spinach alternative and my chickens cannot get enough of this stuff. Chard is a moderately hardy biennial plant, and that means that if you cover it during the coldest of the weather, then it should be able to survive through the winter. That means chard is a great food source for the hunger gap, and if you do actually cover them when it gets down to -10, you won't end up with beds like mine. However, you don't have to wait a whole year to eat them. Sow your seeds indoors now, grow them on under cover, and then transplant out into the garden in the late spring when the frosts have become a little bit milder. Plants can keep you fed for several months starting in the late spring, and if you stagger your sowing, you should be able to eat chard all year round. Now the days are getting longer and we're approaching t-shirt weather, you'll start to notice a lot more weeds in your bed. In my no-dig beds over there are only 1 or 2 dandelions, but here I ran out of both cardboard and compost money. So while the chickens have had one pass over it, there's still quite a few weeds left. So while you're out and about in your garden enjoying the spring sunshine, do remember to keep an eye out for weeds and to tackle them as soon as you see them. I promise you that will make your life so much easier in about 3 months' time. This month I'll also be sowing kale. Now I only really grow kale because it can survive the colder months and therefore provide a food source right through until the late winter. However, I failed to cover my kale this year, so me and the chickens we're going to have to do without. However, in a normal year, if you were to pick a variety like Cavolo Nero, then you should be able to see yourself through the colder months. Now I don't really enjoy kale as much as these guys do, and in salads I'd rather be growing spinach or rocket. However, boiled or steamed, kale can be quite nice in some dishes, but I will be mainly growing this stuff for my chickens. Now, kale is slow to grow, so plant your seeds now in a seed bed or indoors in pots, and then transplant outdoors when the plant has at least 5 or 6 true leaves. Last year I had a massive problem with caterpillars. I almost lost all of the crop, so do be prepared in mid-spring to come out with insect-proof netting to cover your plants. Now if the caterpillars beat you to it, as they did me, then you'll need to remove as many of the insects as possible, and failing that, removing as many leaves as possible, and just hoping that the plants will spring back into action when the insects have moved on. If you haven't done this yet, then March is a great time to be removing any debris from your garden beds. That removes places for pests to hide and should minimise slug populations come the spring. And if you're a somewhat lazy gardener like I am, then this is definitely the right time to be removing stems from annual plants which you just didn't get around to before Christmas. And before we get to our final seed, if this video has helped you out, then please do press the like button. Not only does every like give me a nice warm feeling inside, but these videos do really take a long time to produce, so your feedback helps me know where to focus my efforts and what videos I should be making for you guys and for the chickens. And finally, now is a great time to be sowing allium seeds. In particular onions, and March is probably going to be your last chance. Onions are the workhorse vegetable in most Western diets, and they store really well over winter, which makes them a great choice for the homesteader or the allotment gardener. You can start onions from seed in modules or trays. I will then thin them out, move them to the greenhouse for them to grow on and become more substantial. At that point I take them out of the greenhouse and transplant them in the ground. The other way of doing it is to buy onion sets. These are immature bulbs that you just plant in the ground in the spring and grow on until they're ready to harvest. And of course there are loads of seeds you could be sowing right now. March is a great month for doing flowers. You can start doing direct sowings of peas, carrots and radishes. There's still time to do globe artichokes and lettuce. All the seeds are recommended in February, that's chili peppers, aubergines and tomatoes. March is actually still a really good month for them too. And if you want to start your own tomato plants, then check out this video here and follow my step-by-step guide. Otherwise, as always, happy gardening.